Why hello! So I'm currently sitting on my bedroom floor, but as you probably already know, most of us have been in quarantine because of the unprecedented times and because we are in a global pandemic.
This is fine.
While we've been in quarantine, I've gained an interest in playing Pokemon Go more than usual. Maybe it's because we all want what we can't have, but I thought it'd be fun to bring back Pokemon Go and to combine my hobbies of drawing, video editing, and Pokemon hunting into this one video. So since this video is about Pokemon evolutions, I decided to take my Pokemon that I evolved in Pokemon Go and draw some. As you can see here, one of the first Pokemon that I evolved includes one of the Eevee evolutions, and in this case we evolved Eevee into a Flareon, which is kinda dope. As I was drawing this first Pokemon, I wanted to go for a somewhat realistic approach, so I grabbed my color pencils and decided to shade in the fur coat. In doing so, I realized that it kinda ended up looking a little bit cartoony instead of realistic, or maybe a little bit of both, but at the same time I'm not complaining because it kinda adds some style and personality into the drawing. In the future, I feel like it'd be super interesting to see this video years from now just to see how much I've improved, because in this video I feel like I probably could have improved on implementing more contrast and highlights in the fur and hair, because those seem to be the most challenging parts of drawing this Pokemon. Although I probably could have improved on many finer details of this drawing, I am pretty happy with how it turned out. Moving on, the next Pokemon that I evolved includes this Chikorita that transformed into a Bayleef. But before I drew Bayleef, I did a quick sketch of Chikorita in multiple poses, which ended up being a lot of fun. Instead of going for the traditional color scheme, I wanted to limit myself to 1 or 2 colors for each Chikorita and to practice my shading. Not only did it end up being good practice, but it was also kind of a cool spread in my sketchbook because of how colorful it ended up turning out. As you can see here, for the first Chikorita, I did use multiple shades of blue, and then I added some small hints of yellow-orange for contrast. Next, I decided to color the Chikorita right above it, and this time instead of using multiple shades of blue, I went with a mix between yellow and orange. When shading, I make sure to apply various amounts of pressure. Usually if I want to increase pressure, they're usually in places intended for darker shadows, or I slowly take away pressure in places that are intended for highlight. If you want a video where I specifically talk more about shading and ways on improving, then feel free to watch my Zoo Lights video where I talk more explicitly about the tips and tricks on how to shade as an artist. Though, if you do watch it, I'm not the best at art, so take everything that I say in that video with a grain of salt. And now we move on to the green Chikorita. So green, in my opinion, is one of the easiest colors to shade with, and it's probably one of my favorite colors to draw with in general. Plus, the color was only fitting since Chikorita is a grass-type Pokemon. I'm not sure if this is considered a rookie move in art, or if it's probably considered cheating, but I did use a white color pencil to smooth out the blending of this drawing, since I didn't have a colorless blender pencil thingy, and I wanted this particular drawing to have a certain look and effect. And after all that coloring, I ended up with this. After evolving Chikorita into Bayleef, I went back on my previous approach that I did with Flareon and decided to implement that into this new drawing. In drawing Bayleef, I noticed that it kind of looked very similar to a dinosaur, which is probably what this Pokemon was inspired by when it was originally created. I don't know, this might sound dumb, but I also noticed that as I became more familiar with the Pokemon, I noticed that a lot of them are inspired by like real life objects or animals that we come across every day. Maybe it's common knowledge, but it is interesting to see the inspiration behind these Pokemon. And this is gonna sound super cheesy, but when I was younger, maybe I want to say around 5 or 8 years old, I was probably the biggest Pokemon nerd. You could probably even call me a mini tiny Pokédex with how much I knew about Pokemon at the time. But over time, since I stopped watching Pokemon and playing Pokemon, I kind of lost that knowledge, and if you were to come up to me and ask me to identify a Pokemon now, I probably wouldn't be able to tell you. But when I was younger, I would have a lot of free time, and I would always pop in one of my Pokemon VHS tapes into my TV's VHS player, and I would watch so many episodes of Pokemon, especially the first season. It's so unfortunate, but I don't think I have the VHS tapes anymore, so I'm super grateful that Pokemon is now on Netflix. This kind of sounds like an ad, but it's not supposed to be an ad. But since Pokemon is on Netflix, if I want to feel nostalgic, I can always hit up Netflix and watch Pokemon again. And I probably should have mentioned this sooner, but as you can see, I'm currently drawing Growlithe since I evolved Growlithe into an Arcanine in the game. Not only am I following the original color scheme for this Pokemon, but I wanted to incorporate some small personalized details. Since Growlithe has pretty distinct and large ears, I decided to give him some accessories like these silver hoop earrings. As I continued to draw Growlithe, it kind of reminded me of that one episode of Pokemon where they had to train multiple Growlithes as police Pokemon. And growing up, I always thought Officer Jenny was a pretty cool character. You know, besides the fact that we have the same name. Next, I moved on to the next accessory that I added to Growlithe, and that includes this blue polka dot bandana just to add some more personality into the drawing. As you can see, I started with a light blue foundation and gradually worked my way towards the darker shades of blue. Since I'm drawing a piece of clothing, I try to keep in mind of any folds or ridges that appear in the bandana, so I emphasize my darker colored pencils towards the areas that act as shadows. Of course, I also used a white color pencil to blend it out and to emphasize the highlights. Okay, so for this next Pokemon, I wanted to go for a different approach, similar to the approaches that I've done in my previous videos, but I wanted to draw a cute kitten dressed up as one of the Pokemon that I evolved in this video. In this case, I evolved Ledyba into a Ledian, if that's how you say it. Ledian? Ledian? And I would probably have to say that this Pokemon was probably one of the easiest Pokemons that I've drawn so far in this video. And I know Pokemon Go is a game and all, so does that make me a gamer now? It's kind of funny though, because during my summer break, I've actually been watching a few people here on YouTube where they play Pokemon Go, and I looked up their videos just to see like what kind of Pokemon they were catching, what they come across, and just out of curiosity. But as I was watching their videos, I was actually so shocked and so impressed at how dedicated these Pokemon players are because of how much they find, how many they find at one time, and even they find the rarest Pokemon, which I could never. And meanwhile, I'm over here playing mindlessly and not as competitively. And don't get me wrong, being competitive in Pokemon Go is a lot of fun, but maybe that's just a sign for me to step up my game. I don't know. Like, just the other day, I found out that exclusive shiny Pokemon exist, so that's kinda cool. And a few weeks back, I actually participated in my first Community Day event. In this case, the featured Pokemon was Ghastly. Ooh, and this got me so excited. So basically, I was able to catch 7 shinies, which, believe it or not, I was able to do that. But in the grand scheme of things, that's probably not as many as most, because I heard some players got like over 80 shinies, which is crazy. But then again, I didn't play for the full 6-hour event, so maybe that's why. But regardless, I was able to evolve a normal and shiny Ghastly into a Haunter, and thought I would include these Pokemon into the sketchbook as well, just to document such a milestone in my gaming career as an amateur Pokemon player. The character designs are actually pretty cool in itself. As I was comparing the original Haunter with the shiny one, I did see a slight subtle difference in the shades of purple. It's definitely more distinguishable though with their tongue, since the shiny one does have a purple tongue, whereas the regular form has more of a pink tongue. And I think basically the differences remain the same as Haunter evolves the second time into its third form of Gengar. Gengar will probably most likely, definitely, potentially, possibly, probably, most likely
brilliant, incredible, amazing, show-stopping
appear at the end of this video because I was able to evolve Haunter into a Gengar twice, one being the normal form and one being the shiny form, which is kinda dope. While I'm finishing coloring Haunter by darkening his eyes and darkening his very hollow mouth, I wanted to add a plain color in the background this time because most of the other sketches had a plain white background, but in doing so I also wanted to maintain the purple color scheme, so I decided to add a dark blue-violet. By adding a plain color into the background, I feel like it's almost fooling me into thinking that the negative space is somewhat eliminated, but I do like adding this background because I feel like it adds more depth and makes it more mysterious. In regards to the game, the combat power wasn't that bad, but as you are finally able to see here, I am drawing Gengar, and of course personality is very important, so I drew in some accessories and some clothing. Over time, you can see that the shading with color pencils does emphasize the Pokemon's facial expressions. To save you some time, I did fast forward the drawing process since it's very similar to Haunter's, but with that being said, Gengar is the final Pokemon that I'm going to draw today in this video, and I'm curious to know if you stayed into this portion of the video, so if you stayed this far, then comment down below Gengar likes donuts so I know that you stayed.
Expectations. Wait, reality.